Hi guys, it's Sophie. So I wanted to show you my February wrap up today. It's a pretty small reading pile, it's just here, um, because I just wasn't really feeling reading as much as I normally would do this last month. I've just been doing other things. We played a lot of Overcooked, we played all of Overcooked 1, and we're like going back through and getting 4 stars on all of Overcooked 2. And I've just been doing a lot of study and other things, and it's just not, I've not been reading as much, but I've still got, what's that, 6 books to show you for February. So I'm going to do the non-fiction first. So the first one is How to Be an Antiracist by Ibram X. Kendi. And I saw this one in Waterstones a little while ago and didn't pick it up, and then regretted it, so I went and picked it up. This is basically going through lots of different aspects of racism in like sections, so things like behaviour, ethnicity, success, gender. So just lots of different elements where racism crops up and what you can do, not just to not be racist, but to be like destroying the structures that enable racism. I did enjoy it. I felt like I wanted to have read a bit more around like racism as a non-fiction topic, because I was kind of like, oh, okay, like trying to carry on and follow with what was happening, and I kind of felt like I wish I had read a few more things to accompany this, I guess, probably be my feeling, but I did like it. And yeah, it's interesting. It kind of does the same thing I've read in quite a few like feminist books, where it breaks down lots of different areas of life and what the impact is and what that looks like, and then what you can do to prevent that. So yes, that's that one. And the next one Tom got me for our anniversary, and this is Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doughty. And I really like this. I listened to actually on audiobook, her book about, what's it called, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. And this is basically like almost like a kid's book, I would say. So she goes through and answers all of the different questions that children have. So like, what if they bury me by mistake and I'm just in a coma? And then she goes through and explains like what would happen. So they're all questions that children have asked. Really liked it. It's got cute little diagrams, like drawings, cartoons in them. And I pretty much read it in one night. I read most of it in one night, and then the next bit like the following evening. And I just thought it was fun. So there's that one. And then the last non-fiction I read was Happy Ever After by Paul Dolan. And this book is talking about different things that are supposed to make you happy, again in kind of like categories. So marriage, success, wealth, children, being altruistic, being healthy, and talking about what's the truth behind each of those kind of stereotypical things that will always make you happy, and showing that in the vast majority of cases, the things that we are told will make us happy will not necessarily make all of us happy. And there were just things in there that I found really fascinating, like on the education level one, they were saying that there tends to be like the satisfaction people feel from having done higher education like peaks at masters, and people get more unhappy than if they hadn't studied at all by the time they get to PhD. And I just found that really fascinating. And obviously like happiness isn't the only measure like to take into account, but I think we so often say we do things to be happy. It's just interesting to see what works for most people might not be what we're told will work. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. And then the first fiction I read was Florida by Lauren Groff, which is a collection of short stories, and I did enjoy this. I preferred her long form fiction. I preferred Fates and Furies. These are strange short stories, so kind of talking about things like there's a great big flood and she's living in her house, and it's how does she like survive in the flood with all these creatures going around. Sorry, my neighbour's like looking out the window at me, so I'm trying not to make eye contact. But yeah, and they're all kind of like quite dark, nighttime, creepy stories is kind of how I'd describe them. I think I just wanted them to go on for longer. There were some that I really wished I could have read for ages. So there's one where a family go to stay in a really remote town in the woods, and there is like a mountain lion that's somewhere nearby in the woods, and something happens to the mum and the dad's gone away, and it's just so scary and creepy, and I totally would have read a whole book on that. So I guess my criticism is I wanted them to be longer short stories or novellas, but I did enjoy it. And the next one was Meg Wollitz's The Wife. So this was the third Meg Wolitzer I've read, and I didn't enjoy it as much as The Interestings or The Female Persuasion, but I did still like it. So this follows a woman who is married to this like really pompous, insufferable husband, who's a famous author, and he's kind of toward the end of his career and is getting all these accolades for the work he's done. And she's basically like the long suffering wife who's enabled and supported him to get there. It's only a little short one, but I really liked this relationship kind of falling apart and the horrible way she describes the husband as well. So yeah, I will read more of her, keep reading more of her, but I think I will double check the Goodreads first because this was good. I just didn't love it as much. And then the next one I read was Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. This is a chunky book. This one is what I've spent the longest of my reading time on this month. I think I started this on like the 4th of February and I literally finished it yesterday on the 29th. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the first one is I tend to struggle with historical fiction. It takes like a flippin' amazing historical fiction to carry me through. It's just not a genre I read that much because I don't tend to like it that much. I did like this book, but so there was that element of it. And then the other bit was this felt like I could have trimmed so much of it down. So it's quite fat for actually the story that you have in there. And I think I kind of, as I was reading it, was feeling like, okay, like, can we move on now? Not that I didn't enjoy it, I did. I thought it was fun to read, but I think I wanted some more pace to kind of pull me through it, and maybe especially because it was historical fiction too, I couldn't like settle in and feel cozy. It's just not the way that works for me. So I wanted to be dragged a little bit more than this book was dragging me, and that kind of is where a lot of my reading time's gone. So I have been reading this throughout and then I've just picked up other things and read them quite quickly, but this is the one that's kind of taken up my headspace through basically all of February. And then the last book I read was Untold Night and Day by Bei Sua, and this is, I think it's translated by Deborah Smith, is that right? Yeah. So she translates Han Kang's books as well. And this is a book translated from Korean about this flippin' weird storyline. It kind of reminds me of Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin in like a weird way. We follow two different lives of two different people through what is essentially like a day. However, like the way that she writes is so strange and unusual. So there are specific sentences that repeat themselves throughout the book. So there's one where a skirt blows up and it's described as blowing up like a dishcloth and exposing really skinny calves and tiny, tiny feet. And so that's kind of like a piece, and it's not very long, it's probably like a paragraph long, but that will come up in relation to like 30 different women in the book. So you'll see like someone moving and you're like, oh, there goes the skirt, because in your head you know the piece it's going to be. And there are different like motifs and images that repeat throughout, and the characters have very hazy boundaries. So someone that you might have thought was one character will be described in a different way, and you're like, oh, okay, they're them, or are they? And time is very fluid as well. So it's just a weird book. Like I think you just have to go in and get used to it. So I went in and I was like, what's happening? Is my edition wrong? But you just have to go with it, and kind of be carried along by it. And I did like it. I'm interested to read more by her, though. I think this is the first translated book to come to English so far. But yeah, and the cover is stunning. The cover is probably my favourite book cover this year. Yeah, so those are the books I read in February. This little pile here. And I did enjoy it. I think I was just a bit like stuck with Tipping the Velvet, so I read it for such a long time and tried like nibbling away at it, but it didn't just draw me through. So I think that's why I haven't read quite so much this month. But I've done loads of other stuff, and Tom was saying the other day, he's like, oh, it's really nice to see you like just sitting and reading for like a few hours again. And I was like, yeah, but it's nice that I can do other things too, because it'd be kind of sad if the only thing I could do that I enjoyed was sit and read for hours on end. And it's nice that every now and again, like there'll be a few months or a 6-month period where reading's not my main hobby, and I think that's quite healthy. But yeah, so that's what I've read. I'm going to go now. Hopefully you enjoyed my study vlog that I posted last weekend. I've got another one that's going to be coming up on Wednesday, which is just like another single day. And I'm thinking about whether or not that's something that might be like another core part of my channel. because I've just really enjoyed filming it, and I kind of feel like I want to have some variety. I feel like I've been doing booktube for nearly like 5 years now, and I quite enjoy the idea of having some different types of things to film and play with and like edit and figure my way around, and that kind of makes me feel quite excited. Obviously, it doesn't mean I won't be filming book videos. I think I'll always film book videos, but I thought that could be quite fun, and kind of help me make some videos even when I'm studying, because that's what I'm struggling with, to be fair, since I've started this qualification and video amounts. I mean, obviously, and the meds and everything else, but if I'm studying all weekend, I'm not reading that much, and if I'm not reading that much, I can't film that much about books. So the idea that I could film something else I'm really liking and share it here, I just think sounds like a good plan, and it is really motivating for me as well. So I think that's my plan. That's what I'm going to do, unless I have like screaming hatred for it, in which case maybe I'll make it like a separate channel. But yeah, I'm excited. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching me chat about my books for February. I am reading currently one of the Man Booker International long list. It's called The Memory Police, and I am loving it. I stayed up so late last night reading it. I don't know that I'll read all of the list because I'm still saving money for our wedding. But I'm going to try and read some, and I think I'm going to try and read some more translated fiction just in general within the next kind of few months, because I've really enjoyed diving back into it, having recovered from around the world and kind of been a little bit overwhelmed with it, I guess. So I'm really liking it again. So that's my hope, is lots and lots of translated fiction and non-fiction kind of coming your way over the next 2-3 months. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for listening to my ramblings, and look after yourselves until I see you again. Bye.